Hi, Assalamualaikum. Today we are going to learn about empirical formula and molecular formula. What is empirical formula and molecular formula? And what is the difference between it? Let's look at this picture. Normally, we use an octane as a fuel in our car. What is the molecular formula for octane? The molecular formula is C8H18 and the empirical formula is C4H9. What is the difference between these two formulas? Can you define the empirical formula and molecular formula based on this structure? Based on the previous example, we can define molecular formula is a chemical formula that shows the actual number of atoms of each element in a molecule. And the empirical formula is a chemical formula that shows the simplest ratio of all elements in a molecule. Let's try to solve the following example. Let's read the question together. This question asks you to identify the empirical formula and the molecular formula for buffering tablet. Tips to answer this question is: first, you have to identify the element exists. In this question, the element exists are magnesium, which is 28.83%, carbon, and oxygen. And then you have to tabulate a table. The next example will show you how to tabulate a table. Stay tuned. This is an example of table you can tabulate in order to solve the problem. The first row is element. The number of columns for the element depends on the number of elements exists in the question. The second row is mass in gram, mass for each element. The third row is the number of mole. You can determine the number of mole by using the formula mass over molar mass. The last one is simplest ratio. The simplest ratio can be determined by dividing the number of mole with the smallest number of mole between the element. The next example will show you how to insert the value into the table. From the question, there is a statement mentioned about the percentage of each element by mass, meaning that you can assume the mass of the sample is equal to 100 gram. Therefore, we can get the mass of magnesium, which is 28.83 gram, the mass of carbon, which is 14.25 gram, and the mass of oxygen, which is 56.93 gram. From there, you can determine the number of mole. Let's say for magnesium, the mass is 28.83 and the molar mass is 24. When you divide, it will become 1.20 mole. Same goes to carbon and oxygen. The next step is to find the simplest ratio. How to find the simplest ratio? Between the number of mole, which is 1.2, 1.18 and 3.55, the simplest one is 1.18. So, I will divide the number of mole for each element with the smallest number of mole. For magnesium, the smallest number of mole is 1. Carbon, the smallest number of mole is 1 also. And for oxygen, you will get 2.9. It is approximately near to 3. From the simplest ratio, we can determine the empirical formula is magnesium 1, carbon 1 and oxygen 3. So the formula become MgCO3. This is the empirical formula for the buffering tablet. The second part of the question required you to identify the molecular formula for the element. So, the formula used is N, which is the ratio between the molecular mass and the empirical formula mass. The molecular mass is already given in the question, which is 84. How to identify the empirical formula mass? So, you can, by using the formula MgCO3, so magnesium 24 times 1, carbon 12 times 1, and oxygen 16 times 3. The total is 84. The ratio is 1. Since the ratio between molecular formula and empirical formula is equal to 1, we can find that the molecular formula is MgCO3. This is the molecular formula for magnesium carbonate. In this example, we found that the empirical formula and the molecular formula have the same formula. Thank you.